Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. As President Muhammadu Buhari marks his 100 days in office, the presidency has reassured Nigerians that the All Progressives Congress's promises to the people, especially in the area of education, would be fulfilled within a 4-year period. Spokesman for the president, Malam Garba, told Channels Television that the present administration will begin a good start on all its welfare policies as promised from next year with a new budget. Our correspondent, Gloria Mizweke, examines the achievements of the Buhari-led administration in the last 100 days.
President Muhammadu Buhari raised high expectations during his campaigns when he made several promises, including boosting the education sector. The APC equally promised that it will bring up welfare policies to address challenges in the country. As President Buhari marks his first 100 days in office, Nigerians remembered clearly the promise by the government to declare free education at all levels in Nigerian public schools.
There's a lot of work that is going on preparatory to the oncoming budget. Please watch my words. I'm not saying 100% delivery. These are promises that would be delivered within a 4-year period. But you will see a good start. The administration will be making a good start with a new budget on all of our welfare policies beginning from next year.
The last 100 days saw fresh actions taken to reorganize the school system when the federal government ordered an immediate stop of funding to staff schools.
What we did, we just did our job. Every time there's a government circular, government will send it to us and will now circulate to the universities. It contained in the circular, as I have read to you, the last item was that if any agency has any inquiry on this matter, should refer it to the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission.
Reactions continue to pour on this development, but many are beginning to see the reforms in good light when the National Universities Commission shut down the 57 illegal universities in August. The president narrated his concern over the state of universities to top officials in the system.
The issue of private university was very, very important to him because when he was head of state, military head of state, we had no law establishing private universities. It was just a general statement in the constitution. So a lot of people had private universities that had no law setting them up. So he closed all of them. So he looked at, we're going to cultivate the culture of research again. And I'm not too worried. We now also have 28 of our universities in top 100 in Africa.
Mr. President said, education has to drive our ambition. We talk about knowledge economies. The most competitive economies are the knowledge-driven economies. Look at it here. Third fund, there is this thing here, enhancing national development and international competitiveness. We're not just saying the universities. Let me say this. It's not the number of universities that we have. How many innovative research findings are we getting? And Mr. President made it very clear recently, and I quote, he said he will ensure that he supports science technology for the purpose of driving our competitive capacity as a nation.
Again, the reversal of 4 colleges of education that were upgraded to university status by the last administration was another change many were unprepared for.
It was the federal government that converted it to a university before, and it is the same federal government that has converted it back to the college. All we have to do as staff of the college, as staff of the institution, is to obey Mr. President. Let it be mentioned in clear terms that the institution here in Owerri, as of this moment, is called Alvan Ikoku College of Education.
Well, not many might agree that a lot has happened within the first 3 months in office, but clearly the president's dogged fight against corruption has been lauded as a battle that will clearly change the face of the education sector if sustained. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, joining me on the news at 10 to take a further look at this is Professor Abiola, Whitaker, Rector Olawoye, Whitaker School of Innovative Studies. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on the news at 10. Now, the education policy of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration is not clear, that much we know. But what, in your thoughts, will this suggest to you in his approach to revamping the education sector as he has promised in his campaign?
Well, I must say that we haven't heard much about many other sectors in the economy, education inclusive, but that is not indicative of the fact that he doesn't know what to do. Because when we, during the transitional period, the transitional committee, to my knowledge, met with key players in that sector, both private and public, and brought experts together to get an assessment of where we are as a nation in terms of our educational sector. And I'm sure there are plans to fulfill the promises that the party had given. Now, for me personally, I think we need to go back to basics. Let's start with the foundation. The primary, actually early childhood, primary education, very critical. I remember when you graduated or when you finished primary school, you can read fluently, you can write fluently, your grammatical command was excellent. And so by the time you get to secondary school and you add to that knowledge, you're fit to go into the workforce. The same is not true anymore. And neuroscientists have proven that the ages between 2 and 5 are very critical for a child. So we need to do some heavy lifting in that area. And then from kindergarten to primary 6, heavy lifting also needed in that area. If the foundation is solid, then whatever we build on it will be remarkable. I read 2 emails from 2 university lecturers the last couple of days, and I had to stop because of the errors and the mistakes in those emails.
Unfortunately so. But one of the decisions that the Muhammadu Buhari's administration has taken so far is downgrading. You remember the story? Downgrading of the 4 universities of education and colleges of education, rather. What do you make of that decision? Is that a misplaced action?
You can look at it in two different ways.
How do you look at it?
Well, I look at it as, yes, a university degree is good, but I don't think that is the ultimate solution to education in Nigeria. If you're a good teacher, you go to a college of education that is world-class, it should not matter that it says University of something on your diploma, because you're an excellent teacher, you're appreciated, you know your stuff, and you deliver it adequately, then it should not matter. But because we have created a system, a dual system, that relegates some high impact degrees or diplomas to second-class citizens, where if you go to a college of education, if you go to a polytechnic, you're level 7 when you go into the civil service, but if you have university and your diploma, then you get level 8. And so all of that is probably what's causing this scrambling. If you're a teacher training institution and you train teachers that could be useful anywhere in the world, then it should not matter that it was a university. However, there must be a reason why a promise was rescinded. And the government has not clarified the reason why. I'm thinking budgetary, but it may not be. But until we hear from the other side, the other party, it's kind of difficult to judge.
Professor, you know, I've had to share this with you once before. You are a professor, like other professors, they all agree that the standards of education has indeed fallen appreciably. But what must be done, my question, what must be done to shore it up and get it up again?
Well, again, like I said, we start from the basics. Early childhood, primary. Let's shift, let's see the government take interest in that section of our education.
What would you recommend?
And then let the...
What would you recommend if you say the government should take interest in that section?
Rather than leave primary education to the local governments, let the federal government take responsibility for that. The Western region in the past, the free primary education formed the basis of education in the Western region. And we have a lot of notable Nigerians to show for that opportunity. I mean, let the government focus on primary education. Let's engage the private sector and let them show us how it's done. We look at results, WIAC results every year, and we say they're not performing well. Well, if we carve out the private schools, they're doing absolutely wonderfully. So what are they doing that we can import into the public sector? So we need to embrace the private sector. We need to let them show us how to do this. Again, we used to know how to do it in the past, but that seems to have gone away. So we need to take care of the basics, and then the secondary, the university will fall in place. Because once you get your basic reading, writing, arithmetic correct, then anything else that anyone at secondary or university level builds on it is going to be on solid ground.
Interesting. Well, there are reports, though, that the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is planning to have a mix of politicians and technocrats when the federal cabinet is formed. We're expecting that in this month of September. As a matter of fact, the President says that he's going to announce that list. What are your expectations for, or who, rather, should be the Minister for Education? What would you say, a technocrat, someone who is a professor, someone who is grounded in that field?
I would say yes, but the technocrats can't do it alone. So we've got to have, and like you said, a mix of both. I can't say, I don't know who's on their list, to pick, but someone who knows that industry, who's passionate about it, who cares about the Nigerian child and what they become, getting them the 21st century education. Someone who he's hardworking, and someone who does not, who's not scared, because the work that needs to be done will take courage, because a lot of shaking will have to happen, and we have to be ready for that in order for us to get, the ship right.
Interesting. I want to thank you so much indeed, Professor Abiola Whitaker, Professor, of course, Rector Olawoye at Whitaker School of Innovative Studies. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And your thoughts. The United Kingdom has identified e-learning as one of the pivotal components that will further Nigeria's development. Speaking during the launch of the UK Elearning Africa, the British Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Ray Kyle, said the UK offers a world-class education brand that will be brought to Nigeria through the UK Elearning Africa programme to support Nigeria's development. He further noted that the programme will combine British recognised certificates and all the developments in information and communications technology, ICT.
The UK Elearning Africa is a one-stop provider of technology-enabled training and skills solutions designed to support workforce development for organizations and governments in Africa. The British Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Ray Kyles, says education is one of the key components Nigeria needs the most to develop, and the UK wants to see how best they can support in that regard.
We want to see to what extent we can bring that skill set to Nigeria, to upskill people, to take them from school level to work, and see what support they need educationally. It's combining British recognised certificates with a process of learning that takes advantage of all the developments in ICT, so e-learning. So individuals can do it themselves, they can access tutors, they can monitor the process through continuous assessment.
There are two categories of courses, like Richard.
The overseer of the program, Mr. Richard Hurst, who highlights the importance of the program, says it is coming to Nigeria better and in a flexible manner.
Our courses are specifically built for online. You can do our courses online from mobile phones, from tablets, from laptops, from desktops, but you must be online. So yes, in answer to the question, network is very important. But as I see it, Nigeria is moving forward with internet, with Wi-Fi. That's how I see it from my visits in the last 1 year.
The issue of available internet being an impediment to the program, which is online-based, was also addressed.
Penetration is increasing rapidly. So when we look at areas that didn't have any kind of connectivity just a few months or years ago, they are, fully wired up, as you might say, and not just with broadband, but or not just with maybe expensive and advanced hardware. Now, of course, smartphones are becoming ubiquitous, and people can access quite high bandwidth even just through smartphone over our mobile telephony network. And that's not to talk about other areas like cyber cafes and e-learning centers that can be set up by government and by private sector. So I don't think we will be too worried about penetration. I think it's going to catch up to the level that we need it. And of course, if a government is particularly determined to make progress in an area, then of course they can make an investment in that area.
Education is no doubt central to development, making it the bedrock of any developed nation. It does not only empower people by opening doors for them to lift themselves out of poverty, it also strengthens nations to make them forces to reckon with in global affairs. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
When the News at 10 returns, still on the education sector, we'll look at other options of getting educated. I'll be joined by Sir Richard Hurst, the CEO, Elearning Africa. Stay with us.